Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grace and peace, grace and peace. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of You're Doing It Wrong. My name is Brandon. Last week, had the honor and the privilege of recording with my brothers KO and Emmanuel. We were just talking about doubt. I'm just trying to have just a real conversation as those who, are Christians and have a biblical worldview. We understand how just the outside world may look into our lives and just have a lot of doubts, especially now with everything going on where it seems like there's a bigger and a broader conversation surrounding Jesus, given, the climate of things with Mr. Kanye West and whatnot. And so just even being honest myself, having my own doubts about things, but recognizing that even though we understand that our faith is not always popular, that people are going to doubt, people are going to look in and just have questions, and wanting to be ones that can be honest and respect those doubts, but have an answer for them. Yet at the same time, recognizing that we have our own doubts as Christians, that we doubt our own faith. We go through struggles just like everybody else. Wonder, God, are you there? So just a really great conversation with those brothers, and just talking about doubting and engaging the culture. But this month, oh man, I definitely have a guest who knows how to engage the culture, man. Just a phenomenal individual. I've known him for 3 years. It's just incredible because me and my wife moved to North Carolina so that I could continue going to school, and we ended up finding this church and meeting this individual, him and his wife, who I had on a couple months ago, Tam. They were our community group leaders, and just what a blessing they have been to us, and what an honor it is just to see this individual grow, and just see what a testament he has been of just God's grace. I can't explain how phenomenal it has been just to bear witness and just see, just his wife, man. I just always salute her because she's definitely one, talking about the definition of someone who supports and encourages and loves. She's always there, and I know this brother would not be here without her. So I always, when I witness that's always something that comes to the forefront of my mind. But I'm so glad to be joined by this brother, Pat. Man, I don't even know how to describe it, man, because he creates content, and that's something that I love too, because I love creating content. And not only does he create content, it's so personal, and so deep, man, and just very relatable and encouraging to people. But he does it in the form of music, and his brother actually has an album that is dropping tomorrow. And so it's such a blessing that I get to be there before the hype, because people want to ride the wave when things start getting popping. But I knew this brother before he started popping, and you want to be that one of the people. I knew him before all of this. So I see good things in this man's future, because he's got an incredible album. So I don't want to just call him just a rapper, man. He's an artist. I think his wife says just a musical composer, producer, just a phenomenal artist. Believe 2 weeks ago, he had an album listening session, and it was an experience, man. It was an experience. It was so inspirational, and I can just see, see someone who's come. I don't even want to say the end of a journey, but I know how much work it put in. But just to see somewhat of a payoff of somewhat, man, look what I have accomplished. It was phenomenal, and just so proud, and just grateful to know this individual. But I don't want to be talking for too long, man. I'm so glad to have my brother here, Pat Jr. How are you doing, man? So grateful for you to be here, man.
That was
so
quite
grateful.
The introduction.
I'm trying, man. Like, I wanted this platform just because I've heard, and I hate to steal stuff from other people, but I think I've heard Charlamagne says, like, I'd rather give assists than score points, and I really believe that, man. I love just bigging up other people. Yeah. Because I'm a big fan of like paradoxes of scripture. So like to be first, in order to be first, you got to be last. It don't make no type of sense. But it's like, to truly be great is to display the greatness of others, man. Yeah. And I'm a true proponent of that, and I see that greatness in you, man. And I'm so honored to have this opportunity. So I don't want to waste your time. I want to get right into it. I got so much. I got so much that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to start with this. When I had your wife on the podcast, she said something that was just so phenomenal. She said, I knew Pat was not made for a 9 to 5.
Wow.
And I was like, man, for your wife to know you that well, I want to know, when did you come to that realization that you wasn't made for a 9 to 5? Because the thing that I want to communicate, and I was just telling Pat off air before we started recording, where we from? I'm from New York. Pat from New York. KO behind the mic. Behind the cameras. I see you, bro. From South Carolina. From our cultural context, everybody want to be a ball player. Everybody want to be a rapper. We all got friends who had these dreams. Those was my dreams.
Yeah.
You know. And so when somebody say you want to be a rapper, you like,
right.
Everybody want to be a rapper, man. And so it's like, I want people to see that journey. That wasn't just like, yo, I woke up one day and I wanted to be a rapper.
Right.
But it seems like there was a journey, that there was a process, that this was something always on your mind, and that your wife picked up on that. And just tell that story of, what got you to this point of saying, yo, I'm going to take this full time. Because you were working a 9 to 5, like all of us, because that's how I met you. And I would hear you, telling these stories like, yo, I can't stand my job. And less more colorful language than we know. But when did you come to the realization that, man, I'm not built for a 9 to 5, that God has definitely called me to something greater?
Yeah. And I think around that time I was working for a well-known insurance company. I won't say their name, but but yeah, man, I don't think it was until like 2017, like after I went full time. Let me think. Like, and I'll say this too, man. Like, my wife, she didn't always know that. You know what I mean? Like, it took, like, I don't think she knew until I kind of figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was thinking about going back to get an actual job. So 2016, we have been married for 7 years, right? And I was working at the job after that insurance company. You know what I'm saying? And that job was actually going extremely well. It was a customer service job. It paid, nice bit of money. I mean, it wasn't crazy because it was customer service, but like, $15 an hour for just answering the phones, and it was a cake. You know what I'm saying? That's up there, So I was working like barely full time. So I had the ability to have a couple days off or get off work at a certain time and do my music, I was working on video, I was a videographer at the time, so doing that stuff. And then, like, everybody, for the most part, at my job, even my manager knew that I was, a musical artist or whatever, or just an artist or creative. And so they were, like, always asking me what's going on and, like, how, whatever. And so I remember getting laid off, and my supervisor, not fired but laid off, and my supervisor was like, Pat, you are a phenomenal worker. Like, he had no complaints, but it was just like purely a money thing. They couldn't keep everybody. And so that was the 4th time I got laid off. And I was actually recalling this the other day on Twitter, kind of talking about it, because August 31st was the day or the night that I actually solidified in my mind that we gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Because me and my wife previously that week, 3 years ago, we were praying about it and just talking about it. And so a homie of mine, actually, my homie Justin Rogers, I'll never forget, like, he was telling me, because he was kind of doing the full-time thing a little bit too, creative, business or whatever. And he was like, yeah, man, I do Lyft and Uber on the side. And so he, you know, I got set up with Lyft and Uber, and I remember that day I came home on October 31st after Halloween, like just picking up people and dropping people off. I had made like $600 that night, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, like this could possibly work out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so 2017 was crazy, just with like my music accolades in the area, like being on the front cover of the Indie. And the last person who was on the front cover of the Indie before me was King Mez. You know, so that was a big, like, I didn't realize how big of a deal that was, but a homie had to tell me. He was like, yo, this is a big deal, bro. Like, you know, people always respected me in the area music wise and could hear like just the, I don't know, I guess the expertise, you know, as, you know, being a music artist or whatever. But like people for the most part respected me, and so I remember getting that, opening up for Cooley at the top of the year, opening up for Odyssey, who's like in my top 5, and then like 2017 was crazy, and I think that was kind of the year that me and my wife thought, okay, because then I took my creative money and we went to Puerto Rico for our anniversary and, you know, for like her birthday, like that was, and so I think that's when we kind of knew, but then not too long after that, things got a little dark, you know, and what solidified it was only God, because I remember telling my wife, I can always go back and get a regular job, because things was getting a little iffy. Like after Puerto Rico, I was like, okay, yeah. Like, you know, we in the groove, and things started slowing down, and I was kind of shooting in the dark and reevaluating some of my income, because I had stopped doing video, and, you know, I was like, you know, I'm just going to purely focus on music, because video is like, I'm not really passionate about this, you know, for lack of better terms, like niggas be nickel and diming trying to get the discount, and I'm like, I'm tired of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so anyway, like I remember my wife distinctly. I think it was at that moment that it was solidified that she knew, because I was unsure. She knew that I wasn't built for a 9-to-5 job, because I was like, I will go back and get a regular job. And she said, no, like I want you to go back, but God is telling me to tell you to keep going.
So how much time had passed since you were laid off at the last job till you decided, yo, I'm going to do this full time?
So I got laid off around August, which is crazy, because in August I released Learning to Live in the Day, which was the album I put out in 2016. And we'll talk about this later, but it's funny how I'm 3 years later, I'm closing this chapter in my life, and we'll get to that. I know you got questions or whatever, but like I thought I knew in 2016 I wanted to do a sequel to that project, because I'm very like writer, like I'm a writer first before everything. I'm very like movie like oriented, so I was like, I want to do a sequel to this project. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. And so 2016, if you notice, 2016 album is called Learning to Live in the Day, and this album is called I Thought I Knew. You know what I'm saying? So I knew it's funny how everything just came full circle in its timing. But when I got laid off in August of 2016, it was still kind of up in the air. But that same year, like October, is when we kind of decided, like after doing Lyft for a little while, and then that big pot of money I brought home, you know, getting a few video gigs here and there. I produced a few, like some artists, like their full projects, some beats here and there. You know, I hadn't had any shows come up, like gigs, you know, but that, like, it was so maybe like within like a few weeks time, because it was the end of August. So August, September, yeah, like maybe a few weeks time is when I was like we prayed and talked about it and was like, okay, like we gonna give this thing a run, and just see what happens, because we really feel like at that moment it's like, okay, I counted 7 years being married, 4 times being laid off. God, you trying to tell me something? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't fired, it was laid off.
Yeah.
So
How scary, and I think that's what I want to capture, because when we think rap, we kind of think just single guy. You're married 7 years in, because and I don't want to speak for you, but I would assume your idea is, man, I want to take care of my wife.
Right.
I want to be able to provide.
Exactly.
I don't want this instability going on. I want to make sure she's secure.
Right.
And so to go and say, and I don't want to talk too much about myself, but my wife, she wants to do photography full time, and so taking that just jump of like, yo, I'm not gonna have no steady income. Taking that jump, how scary was that?
It was super scary, man. It's almost like because I was telling my wife around that time, or some of the people that I even talked to, was like, I've always, even at the last job I had before I got laid off, I always felt like, man, I'm gonna work this job, and keep working this job until like we save. And we was both bringing in like combined income with some good money between me working and then like some of the gigs I had for music, and then video, and then me selling beats. Oh man, like we was, it was looking pretty good. You know what I mean? And so I always say, like, I'm gonna save up money, and then after I save up enough money, like, people do the traditional Facebook social media posts. Yeah, I'm finally quitting my job today after this many years. I saved up money, blah, blah, blah. And it was going to be whenever my wife felt comfortable. In my mind, I was like, whenever she feels comfortable and we kind of have that conversation, then that's when we going to do it, And so, but it was scary, man, because it was like, I really didn't have too many leads at the time, like as far as shows or gigs. Like, it just kind of happened all out. God really showed himself strong, because that's when I've never had anybody ask me, hey man, can you produce my full project? My full album, my full EP. Or, people asking me for big video jobs. Like they were like coming out of nowhere. And so it was still kind of scary, because it was like, what is that next thing that's gonna come? Money wise, like, so it was definitely scary, but like, God consistently showing himself strong, even when I was kind of shooting in the dark after I was like, I'm not doing video anymore, because this is just stressing me out. And it's stressing my wife out, and it's just like, nah, like, it was never something that I was completely just afraid of, because I always had people in my corner. I had a few guys in my corner that I could reach out to, mentors that I could talk to, and them, like walk me through it. You know what I mean? So,
because it's like you didn't leave your job to go to do something that's, I don't want to say stable, but the lifestyle of someone who's doing music and rapping, I would assume it's a lot of travel. A lot of travel, a lot of times away from your wife. And so there would be not only the financial sacrifice, but just that relationship that you have, because again, not trying to speak for nobody, I know women, they want to settle down, have a family, have a house, do all these things. So all these sacrifices that would have to be made. And that's why I always like tip my hat to Tam, because I'm sure she knew this going in. Like, I want to be 100% supportive, but it's like some things are going to have to be put on hold. So how was those conversations?
She didn't always know that going in. She's going to talk about that soon, because she's working on the blog, and I won't say the name of it, but she didn't like as far as like that statement, she was like, she never wanted to become a rapper's wife. Like, she didn't know. I didn't even know I didn't know because I was just doing music as a way to express myself. You know, it was like God actually showing me like, nah, this is it. I would always pray like, God, if this is what you want me to do, you can ask my wife. Like, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. But I don't have to rap. I don't have to. I could work a regular job. Yeah. Like, you know, if this is what God wants me to do, like, I will work a regular job. Yeah. You know, and be okay with that. However, that wasn't. I think God had to show me that's not the passion that I put in you. You know, and honestly, if we want to go there, I think that was formulated in my mind, not pursuing my passions, but rather pursuing what looks like or what's the popular format or equation for a successful man or husband or married couple by the old church that I went to. It really wasn't the narrative of pursue your passions, figure out how to make money from it, and then make that your lifestyle. It was like, no, this is what it looks like. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh no, like even from the flawed perspective of the man has to make all the money. You know what I'm saying? Because if he doesn't, that's a sign of weakness, or he ain't leading right. If he's not making the majority of the money.
No, I feel you.
You know, and that was the narrative that was pushed from the old church that I attended. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we didn't even really know. Neither one of us didn't think this was something that I was going to get into, and it took her some time. And it took a lot of patience from me and a lot of prayer, you know, praying together to, you know, get on the same page.
Yeah. And the reason that I want to bring all this up is because we live in this instant age. You know, we hear about all the time these SoundCloud rappers. So when you hear somebody say they want to be a rapper, it's just like, it's easy to write them off because it's like, oh, it's just like a fade. Most of the artists that we hear on the radio, they not there the next year. Right. You know, but I'm sitting here next to someone who this isn't just some phase that you're going. This is going to be your life. You know, this is something that you've committed to, and not only have you committed to, but you're married, so your wife's got to be on the same accord as you as well. And so I want people to know, listening, that, you know, Pat isn't just one of these, you know, rappers that you'll just hear one day to the next. I believe Pat's gonna be here for a while.
I appreciate that, man.
He's not one of these individuals who, you know, I just got in the studio one day and I ain't even write nothing down. I just went in there and just started rapping, and like, what, you did that?
Right.
That's not Pat. And so I want, and that's the thing too that I try to cultivate, is getting to know a person, because once you know them, it's like it's easier to support, because half of these rappers, we know they song, we don't know them. And I think in your music, we know so much about Pat, and I think that's the beauty of it, where I know this brother, so I want to be there to support, because I've seen the journey, I've seen the struggle, I've seen all of that. So it's like, if I could be there to help and support, and not only that, because I don't want to just do it just as a freebie. You make good music. It's quality. It's quality music. And so it sounds like, just from what I'm listening to, rap has always been, or just creating music has always been part of you.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
It wasn't just like, I got laid off, what's gonna be my options? It sounds like you was creating music all throughout this time you're working, but just doing it on the side.
Right.
But now you have the opportunity. Hey, I can take
Yeah. Thoughts cast out in the middle of the ocean. Long John still with a pill, got a grill, come appeal, giving will to the notion. Waves don't feel every kill, just a real when you deal with the spill of emotion. A side to reveal, inside of the chill, the cry giving pride for the heel. Arrived just in time at the pier to conceal. Why consider every passive person when your back is hurting, but the knife's gone. Days are darker when you practice purpose, while you stacking burdens, but your light drawn. It was better back in grade school. Lemonade with the fade, niggas stay cool. And all my friends came in game wanna play too. But mama gave me the way to evade fools, and that's true. Social butterfly with his wings clipped. Used to be the life of the party. Used to give a smile with some meaning. Now I give a smile for the party. Used to find peace every season. Never find peace, but it's hardly. Never find peace, but it's hardly. Never find peace, but it's hardly. Happy moments come and go. Real moments come and go. Still moments come and go. Like the waves, they just come and go. They just come and go. Before I met my wife, I was looking for